I've got to say that when I've talked to folks in the peace movement or other human rights movements and people are feeling kind of discouraged, or in the immigrant rights movement, I said, like, now look, the leadership of the Taco Bell campaign and the leadership of the Mount Olive Pickle campaign were farm workers, many of them undocumented. So if undocumented Latino workers that are about as marginalized and oppressed with very few resources in a climate that's hostile to immigrants can nevertheless affect change from multi-billion-dollar corporations, then there certainly is a God. There is, you know, the weak do shame the strong, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians. And that God repeatedly chooses the weak to say, we've turned God's values and God's creation upside down as a society. And they are taking the lead in turning it right side up again. It doesn't stay right side up, or it doesn't get all the way, but to celebrate those things. And what I found is that in especially white middle-class churches, we've lost the notion largely of what it means to celebrate. And so I found that it's in introducing middle-class churches to the struggles of farm workers that they suddenly not only learn about justice, but they also learn about what does it mean to have a joyful faith. And hope is something that like has no evidence that this is likely at all. It's not like optimism or something that I think things are going to go well. But really, like in the face of growers, oftentimes folks that are armed, and that they could lose their jobs, and someone who talks with the union reps suddenly is found like they're fired the next day, that in those conditions, nevertheless, that community of farm workers is far better equipped to celebrate the joy that we have living day to day and the moments when we come together and things change than middle-class communities with far more resources, but fear that they might lose those resources and that safety and security they think that comes from that middle-class standard. So to my sense, many of the churches are kind of imprisoned in a kind of middle-class cultural captivity, if you will, and we need, for a self-interested thing, to connect with farm workers and others that are marginalized, and it's in working together that we discover that common joy of being around the table together.